All right, we're back. That was a little Lycanthro with Fog of War off of Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Before that, we heard some Triple Murder with Crawl. And starting things off in that short set, some Peronicus with Cauldron off of Peronicus. Welcome back, guys. Everyone good?
How's it going?
Hello.
Be back.
We are back.
Everyone good?
Yeah.
Excellent. So when we were talking last, we were talking a bit about what it was like when you found out. Now, James, you had already played last year in last year's battle, so I mean it's not a new experience for you. So what do you take from last year that you bring into this year? Like, what did you learn from last year?
I guess maybe just mainly it's just you have to, like, when you find out who the judges are, you have to try and figure out, like, what they like, and basically, yeah, because a lot of the time, like, in reality, you know, for this show, you're really playing to the judges, obviously, but there's obviously the good stuff you have to do with it. Everybody knows, like, obviously play to the crowd and crowd interaction, all that stuff, but you really have to play to the judges. You have to try and figure out what they like, because a lot of times, like, there was one, I won't mention any names, but there was, like, one judge who, for some reason, like, his criticism towards us was just because he was just like, oh yeah, the vocals aren't really my style, which granted, like, I probably would have, like, went off key maybe once or twice during the set, which obviously is on me, but, like, he just didn't seem to like the style of vocals that I do, you know? You have to, a lot of times, sometimes they're, like, kind of have their preferences and stuff like that. You kind of have to play to them as best you can.
And you can't. I mean, you're not going to change your vocal style just to, like, appease one person. Like, this is what the band is.
Yeah.
This is how the band is. You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, and I think that sort of begets, like, the next question. That I was sort of thinking of, and let's say none of the four bands in the studio with us tonight make it on to the next round. I mean, what do you guys take away from this experience?
Actually, I'm pretty sure how it goes is that there's actually one band from each round goes on.
Is that right?
I'm pretty sure that's what it is, actually. Yeah.
There has to be one winner of each round.
Yeah, so it's like one from the show on Thursday and one from the show in February.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was the case when we had John with us last week, 2 weeks ago. But that could have been, I just missed on that. But I wasn't sure because it's the first time we've done, like, 2 shows here in Ottawa, so I don't know if it was, like,
yeah, usually it's only one. It's because more bands, like, signed up this year. So
well, it makes sense then, right? I mean, It shouldn't be, one of you guys should be able to move on, right?
Yeah, because usually I noticed how it used to be was there used to be, like, a more Toronto shows because more Toronto bands would sign up than Ottawa bands. But I guess this year it was, like, a bit of a different thing. I noticed there's only 2 Toronto rounds instead of 3, and now there's, like, 2 Ottawa rounds instead of 1.
Yeah.
Because I guess, like, less Toronto bands signed up and, like, more Ottawa bands signed up for it.
That could be, but when we had John on the show a couple of weeks ago, he said it was just really hard to narrow it down to just enough for one show. There was just too many good submissions this year. Excuse me, and the I think to what we were talking about earlier, it's just a testament to, like, how good a metal scene we have here, right? Where, it's going to be hard enough for the judges to pick one winner per round, and having to go through, like, a bunch of different submissions before we even get to that point, like, makes it even harder, I think.
Well, especially with, like, the amount of different variations that each band has to offer. Like, that's what separates each band from ourselves, is that we all have our own sound, and that's what makes us our own individuals as a band. And I mean, you can't get a sound like Peronicus, you don't get a sound like Anthro anymore, you don't have a sound like Aphelion much these days. And Triple Murder, well, I mean, we're trying to bring back the old school with the new school as well. So I mean, the variations in between all 4 bands is there. So when it comes time to judging, I mean, I think the judges are going to be baffled on, like, who's actually going to take it, because all of us are good in our own way, and we all have our own aspects that we have to offer.
Yeah, it's all different genres, which is all usually very tough to, like, it's very tough to, like, judge when, like, we all play, like, completely different styles. So
and I think it's that's part of the challenge, I guess, of being a judge, right? I mean,
totally.
if you're a judge, you probably know metal. And, you probably have a style of metal that you like listening to more than others. So what do you do when a band comes up that isn't necessarily what you like. I mean, if you love power metal and then you get a death metal band come on, like do you automatically not like them as much, even if they're doing everything right? I mean, that's, I think, not a question you guys can answer, but I think it's just part of the overall challenge. Like if you could know what the judges like, how much of your style are you going to change really at the end of the day?
I know in Montreal what has happened is like they had 2 different shows as well, but at one of the shows 2 bands has actually passed through. So in Montreal there's actually going to be 3 bands. So who knows, like maybe in Ottawa, if there's 2 bands at our show that end up being the same score, then that's
a good
just
question,
an extra
right?
band from Ottawa going to the next round.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Like, what happens if you have 2 bands with the same score?
Yeah, exactly. Well, apparently for Montreal, 2 of the bands had the same score, so they're going to the next show. So.
I think you just have a fist fight in the parking lot.
Yeah,
See what happens.
I know that's definitely what's going to happen.
Chug more eggnog. Chug more eggnog.
Chug more eggnog.
See, we came back to it.
Yeah.
Or like what we were just saying, just have
the eggnog. I'll win.
just have like or like I was saying earlier, just have like a promo battle or something like that.
Eggnog chug.
We'll do whoever
round
can
2.
hit 1 million on a pinball machine first gets to go through the next round.
So that means we're gonna be here till 2023. Then.
Yeah, we'll all be there for a while.
It's cumulative, right? It's not in one ball or anything. Right?
Yeah, it's not in one ball yet.
I don't know about you guys, but I think that eggnog chugging idea is a great one. You guys should definitely try it. I'll just forfeit automatically.
I'm gonna hire crazy.
Just so I can sit back and laugh.
I'm gonna hire Crazy Dave to represent Lycanthro. So
no, you can't do that. You can't do that. No. That's not how it works. I don't think so.
Did you guys? I don't know if any of you guys listened to it when Jon was on our show, but he had some pretty good tips for bands that are going to be in the competition, and among them was learning to take criticism well, because you may end up playing something that wasn't quite right for whatever reason. Maybe something was out of tune or out of key or whatever, or maybe it was just how your stage show is. And I think part of I think what sets apart the really good bands is knowing how to take in that constructive criticism and not take on a big big hissy fit or whatever. I mean, how much of this are you guys looking at it from big part is the battle, but also like a learning experience in terms of what to do in terms of impressing people that are there to maybe make some critical decisions about you guys?
Honestly, CKCU, we entered in this strictly for the constructive criticism to better ourselves as musicians and as a band to, figure out what our strengths are, but what our weaknesses are on top of that. Because when you're in a band, you think, oh yeah, we're awesome, we're the shit, but there's also the reality of things of maybe not everybody likes your music, and maybe people have different aspects that they can offer to help you further yourself as a band and as a musician. And like I said, we're honestly in it to figure out what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are, and take that constructive criticism to better ourselves in the future.
You can also take any of that and use it as fuel. I wouldn't say the disappointment of not going through, but you take all that and just re-energize and to propel you going forward. So,
yeah, well, that's just it. It's to help you push yourself forwards, and like you said, use it as fuel. Yeah, exactly. Take it as a learning experience. You take it, you learn from it, and you move on. You push yourself forward. Don't look back. What's back there is back there. What was said was said. Take it, deal with it, work with it, and work on it to better yourselves as musicians.
Liam, you should be a motivational speaker too.
What's
Seriously,
funny?
man.
I've been told that so many times, and honestly, I don't know why I'm not a motivational speaker yet.
You really should be, man.
You're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you.
I try. I don't know. People think I'm funny.
Man.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just
Exasperation.
He spaced
radio
out, guys.
silence. I'm sorry.
Now, so there's probably a lot of people out there that have been listening and have never gone through this before, and so maybe they're sort of thinking, kicking around the idea of maybe submitting, for this in the future. maybe one thing that maybe they're wondering about is when you get selected to play at the preliminary round, do you guys know in advance what the judges are going to be looking for? Like, do you know, like, do they say, here's how we're going to be grading you?
Yes, because one thing that they did when they sent you the not the preliminary email, but like the big info email, was they'll actually give you
like
a score sheet. They give you like the exact score sheet the judges use, so you know what you have to work on and what you have to like try and do for. I think there's like 5 different categories and like scores from 1 to 10 with like 0.5 in the middle. So that's usually what we know in advance what to look for. So
is there a lot that they're like? Is there a lot of categories, or is it?
There's only 5. There's only 5, but like those categories have like subcategories too. It's like categories, but then like little specifics in them, like.
For example, like stage presence, crowd reactions, stuff like that.
Professionalism.
Like, yeah, professionalism.
Like how fast you get set up, how fast you get torn down.
Yeah.
Stage.
Are you well prepared if there's an equipment malfunction? Are you able? So, yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff is just normal things. If you're on stage enough, then
yeah,
you're kind of used to doing them anyway. So it's just